Close your eyes, settle into your blanket, and let yourself drift. Tonight, I'll take you far away to the frozen nights of the Viking world. A place where the cold was merciless, where fire smelled of whale oil and smoke, and where survival meant clinging to one another like seals in the dark. This is not just a story, it is a lullaby of survival, of strange warmth, of fire and ice. So breathe slowly, let the words carry you, and slip into sleep as the Vikings once did. Part 1. The whale oil fire. There was, however, one invention that saved the hearth. The whale oil fire. They would take a piece of wood, wrap it with reindeer gut cord, and smear on a thick layer of whale oil something that smelled like a seafood corpse from centuries past. Light it up, and the orange glow would flicker against the eye ceiling, making the place look like the cave of some Norse witch experimenting with perfume. The problem was the smoke. No chimney, no vents, just you inhaling what modern medicine would politely call a whale oil death chamber. You cough, you wheeze, you bury your nose in your fur sleeve, but there's nowhere to hide from the smoke. An older man in the group claims it keeps away winter mosquitoes. You chuckle until you remember there are no mosquitoes in winter. Perhaps the old man is hallucinating from oxygen loss. Historians still debate whether Vikings used whale oil out of cleverness or sheer desperation. Some call it marine ingenuity, others call it hopelessness. Either way, you endure it because freezing to death isn't an option. And after a few hours, something strange happens. You feel warm. Not because the fire works better, but because your body has stopped sending pain signals. It's a system shutdown from overload. Sweet relief until you smell burning hair. A girl leaned too close to the flame. Nobody screamed. Everyone just nodded, as if singed hair was inevitable in the company of whale oil and dry braids. The fire sputtered, but it lived on. Every half hour, you had to smear on fresh oil scooped from a rancid leather sack. Some used their hands, others used their feet, because their fingers were too stiff to move. As the night dragged on, people told stories, not jokes, not myths, but tales of winter deaths. One recalled a cousin frozen solid like dried fish after dozing off by an ice rock. Another remembered nearly burning down the entire village after forgetting to put out the oil lamp. You realize that winter survival isn't just about warmth, it's about never sleeping too deeply. Because if you do, you may never wake up again. That's not a threat, that's a reminder. Part 2. The whale oil fireplace. In the dense darkness, the Vikings lead you to a snow cave. It sounds safe, but it's just a hole lined with moss and hay. Their only salvation, the whale oil fireplace. They take wood, braid reindeer guts, smear thick whale oil smelling like seafood dead for a century. They light it. Amber flames flicker on the icy ceiling, turning the place into a Norse witch's cave experimenting with perfume. But the smoke, thick and choking, no chimney, no vent. You're breathing what modern medicine would call a whale smoke death chamber. An old man mutters, "The smoke keeps away winter mosquitoes." You chuckle, then remember there are no mosquitoes in winter. The flame sputters, needing fresh oil every half hour. Some smear with hands, others with feet, their fingers too frozen to move. A girl leans too close, hair catching fire. The stench rises. No one screams, no one panics. They just nod as if to say, well, of course. As the night drags on, they tell stories. Not heroic sagas, just tales of freezing to death. You realize, surviving winter isn't just about warmth. It's about never sleeping too deeply. Sleep, and you may never wake again. Part 3. The human blanket. You wake in darkness. Your lips are crusted with dry frost. Your eyes sting from last night's whale oil smoke, and an unfamiliar arm is wrapped across your chest. No, this isn't a romance story. This is survival strategy. Vikings slept in clusters like seals. You may think you value personal space, but imagine lying in a pitch-black snow cave. The wind slicing through your nostrils, every exhale freezing into shards of ice. Do you still want to sleep alone? The Vikings had a simple but effective tactic. People as blankets. No electric heaters, no hot water bottles, just comrades. And your comrade happens to be Gudin, whose mouth smells like fermented fish, and whose body is the size of a beer barrel, along with two kids who wet themselves in their sleep. You pile on each other, furs wrapped around like a giant sandwich, and the heat of another body becomes your main source of survival. Part 3: The invention of the whale oil fireplace. But there was one invention that saved the fireplace: whale blubber. They take a piece of wood, wrap it with braided reindeer gut, and smear on a thick layer of whale fat, a substance that smelled like seafood corpses from a century ago. Strike a flame, and suddenly an orange glow splashed against the eye ceiling, making the place look like some Nordic witch's cave experimenting with perfume. The problem? Smoke. Tons of it. No chimney, no vent. You're basically inhaling what modern medicine would classify as a terminal-level whale smoke chamber. You cough, you wheeze, you try covering your nose with your fur sleeve, but there's no corner without smoke. An older guy in the group mutters that the smoke keeps away winter mosquitoes. You laugh, until you remember. Winter doesn't even have mosquitoes. Maybe the old man's just hallucinating from oxygen loss. Historians still debate whether Vikings used whale fat out of cleverness or sheer desperation. Some call it the genius of a seafaring people. Others insist it was nothing but hopeless necessity. Either way, you endure it or freeze to death. Then something strange happens after a few hours. You feel warm. Not because the fire got better, but because your nervous system simply stops sending pain signals to your brain. A system shut down from overload. The warmth feels almost sweet until you smell burning hair. A girl in the group leans too close to the flame. Nobody screams. They just nod silently, as if singed hair is simply the price of existing near whale oil and dry hair. The fire still burns, weak and flickering. Every 30 minutes, someone has to smear on more blubber scooped from a rancid leather sack. Some use hands, others too frozen to move their fingers smear with their feet. As the night drags on, stories emerge. Not jokes, not myths. Death stories of winter. Someone recalls a cousin who fell asleep beside a stone and froze solid like dried fish. Another remembers when the whole village nearly burned down from forgetting to snuff out the blubber lamp. You realize survival isn't just about the cold, it's about not sleeping too deeply. Sleep too long, and you might not wake up. It's not a threat, it's a gentle reminder. You curl into yourself under the snow vault, teeth clattering with the rhythm of the wavering fire. Beneath the furs, you touch your own skin and find it's already gone numb. Some part of you starts to accept this. This pit is home. This is your bed. This is existence. Then someone hums a wordless old tune, faint as breath. No lyrics, no climax, just an echo of winters long gone. And you think, if I survive tonight, I'll never again complain about winter in Dalit. Part 4: The collective sleep strategy. You wake up in the dark, your mouth crusted with frost, ice stinging from last night's whale blubber smoke, and there's a strange arm draped across your chest. No, this isn't romance. This is survival. The Viking strategy of sleeping like a cluster of seals. You might think, I like my personal space, but imagine lying inside a snow cave, pitch black, the wind whistling through every hair in your nose. Each breath you exhale turns instantly into ice shards. Now, tell me again, do you really want to sleep alone? The Vikings had a simple but brilliant tactic. Pile together, bodies as blankets. No heated mattress pads, no hot water bottles, just teammates, and those teammates are pressed right against you. It's not glamorous. One guy snores like a busted horn, another reeks of fish guts, kids pee themselves mid-sleep. Yet you endure it because this is your only heater. Furs wrap the group like sandwich bread, and the heat source in the middle. Human bodies stacked like meat filling. Privacy is a luxury. Survival is shared warmth. Part 5: The battle against eternal night. The hardest enemy of the Viking winter wasn't just the cold, it was the endless night. Imagine the sun gone for months, leaving nothing but darkness. Your body forgets the rhythm of day and night. You can't tell if you're supposed to be awake, or asleep, or already dead. Inside the snow hut, time loses all meaning. You light the whale oil lamp, and it feels like morning. Then someone snores, and you realize it might actually be midnight, or noon, or never. The darkness presses on your skull, a constant reminder that you live in a world where the sun has abandoned you. Some say this is why the Vikings told so many dark stories: death, frozen kin, villages almost burned down by forgotten lamps. In the black of winter, horror became entertainment, and stories were as necessary as food. Because if you didn't fill the silence would eat you alive. And so you sit, shivering, wrapped in furs, listening to tales that sound less like legends and more like warnings. The real lesson of winter survival: don't sleep too deeply, because deep sleep might mean you don't wake up.